Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the T-55A, the tank that was just added in the most recent patch. It is an 8.3 battle rating Tier 5 Russian medium tank. Its shell selections are stock. It gets a 300mm of pen Sabo, a 250mm pen APHE shell, which I do not recommend using, and a 240mm penetration APDSFS round, and a 390mm penetration Heat FS round. Now, I don't really recommend using the APHE round even against Leopards, as both of the Sabo shells have very, very good frag for being Sabo shells. Even the APDSFS shell is very good at fragmentation. Now, driving the T-62 as well in a lineup with this thing, I found that the APDSFS on there had very good fragmentation as well. So whether that's just the game is right now or what, I don't know, because I haven't played anything else other than those two tanks at this tier with APDS recently. Just a disclaimer. So, it's an 8.3 battle rating, so it's higher battle rating than the Leopard, which was widely considered the best tank in the game for a very long time. Now, I kind of feel it does actually deserve this battle rating. It is a very, very good tank. Its survivability is better than the Leopard, for a reason I'll discuss later. Its mobility is just as good, its armor is better, its reload is about the same, it has a better shell selection, and its shell is slightly better on the APDS. Now, when I say the survivability is better, that is due to one major factor, the ammo rack, and specifically what's around the ammo rack. The ammo rack is actually covered in the fuel tanks, with a fuel tank in front of the ammo rack as well. So when someone goes to shoot your ammo rack, they only set you on fire. Now, it is very, very, very irritating not having FPE in this tank, so I definitely recommend, if you have the Eagles, getting FPE that way, because otherwise it's going to be a long and painful burning experience for quite a while. So, yeah. Now, the match you're seeing in the background, you are actually going to see the rest of tomorrow. It is a 25-minute long match that comes down to the wire very, very closely, and that's all I'm going to say. So that'll be tomorrow's video, if I have time, which I should. So, anyways, I'm just kind of creeping around on the map, and I find myself a Leopard, and I go for the ammo rack, and obviously, ammo racks do. They detonate, and then we see a Sheridan. Now, here's where the reload rate comes in handy. Now, I don't want to peek the Sheridan because I know he knows where I am. So I'm just going to kind of fall back and wait. Now, I do take a hit from, I never actually do find out what. It's actually a Leopard. That's what it is. I never saw that when I was actually playing the battle, but I get shot by a Leopard. Yeah. Anyways, the joy of doing post-commentary. So, I need to fall back and repair my breach. Now, its repair times feel a bit long, whether that's just me or not be having an expert crew or whatever. Its repair times are fairly long, I found. Not as good as on my T-44, for example. But this is also a higher tier tank. Now, the one thing that does bother me about this tank is you can see on the back the two mounts for the smoke canisters. However, there is no smoke on this tank yet. I kind of imagine that they're going to add it next patch, but I don't know. So that's kind of very irritating, that you can see that it's there and it just doesn't work. There's also nothing we can do about that. So I've used the tank's mobility to get myself into a position where I'm not really expected by the enemies, but it is a fairly risky position. So now I'm going to pop around the corner and shoot the Sheridan while he's not looking. Now that sets him on fire. And I knew on the T-10M you can machine gun Sheridans and Leopards, so that's exactly what I'm going to try and do here, once I think about it, that I can actually machine gun him to death. So that's what I do. However, you cannot machine gun Leopards, you can only machine gun the Sheridan. Just keep that in mind, as the T-10M's cannon, 14mm anti-aircraft cannon is what I'm going to say. It just has more penetration and can deal with the sides of Leopards, whereas this cannot. But it was worth a try. So, just kind of looking for another target here, and we find ourselves a Panzer IV, which can actually cause issues as this thing's side armor is pretty bad. But there's not much we can do about that. So now I get taken out, And we're going to head into the next match here. And I'm going to talk about more in the match what I'm doing here, because I didn't want to spoil too much for tomorrow's video on that one. So, we're on the new Karelia. Or, sorry, not Karelia. Whatever map this is. Jesus Christ, I'm tired. It's 2 in the morning. Not important. The new map that they just redid. So, I'm going to go to the C-Cap because I've been there once or twice and I have a kind of rough idea of what to expect over there. So, I'm going to make my way over there and just see what I can see for tanks. And I'm not really too sure what to expect, as this is only the second time I have ever played this map. So, yeah. So, just trying to kind of, like, its mobility is a little bit better than T-62 fully upgraded. Both of these matches are from fairly early on in the upgrade states. I did get this tank more upgraded after these videos. I just decided to use this footage as it was better suited to show what the tank can actually do than a lot of the matches I had later on. We'll just ignore that I forgot to press record later on. Anyways, it's been a long day, and I'm trying to do a lot more videos, so we'll do more videos. So, pushing up towards the C point, I know from experience that coming from this side, they can get RUs on top of a ridgeline that we were about to see, and that's why you'll see me scanning the ridgeline as I poke with my gun sight, although I shouldn't have been doing it with my gun sight. I should have been doing it in third-person view. It doesn't end up costing me anything, but it is still dangerous nonetheless, because it's tunnel visioned if I do. So, now, this thing does have a stabilizer, as most top-tier tanks do, so that's what allows me to get a kill like that. I can fire on the move with no concern whatsoever, so long as my gun depression allows it, because it's a Russian tank, it only gets 5 degrees of gun depression. Now, this thing is a very amazing tank, and I would completely recommend getting it. It is worth the grind. But it is a long grind through 3 T-54s and a T-62 to get this. But it is definitely worth the wait. So now we're just kind of camped up on the corner, waiting to see what pushes this point, what's going to come down here. And they did cap, so I was kind of assuming that was going to be an RU. However, it actually was not an RU that capped this C point. It was that Sheridan. So, peek, kill the Sheridan, and the fragmentation is really what's been saving this tank, shooting at things like the Sheridan and not having that APHE round. As you can see, I don't have the APHE in this game anymore, as it was a later game than the first one. So I've loaded the heat for dealing with Mauses, as the APDS will give you issues, but I don't recommend firing the heat exclusively from this thing, as its fragmentation just isn't there, and when I'm broke and I only have 100,000 lines, I could use all the money I can get from saving by firing APDS. So now we're going to cap the point, and I'm going to be killed by a plane. So final thoughts. This tank is better than a Leopard. It's just as mobile, better armor, better survivability, good reload, good cannon, and a decently bouncy turret. You can bounce a lot lower tier vehicles, but other than that, not too much. So that's going to be it for this video. As I said, tomorrow will be a bit of a different video, and we will see you then.